Andrew Smith, and I'm the vice chair sitting in for Chair Jamar Stamps, who is unable to attend today. Please give your attention to this short video.
Due to COVID-19, this meeting will be conducted as a Zoom meeting pursuant to the provisions of Assembly Bill 361, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act. This meeting is being live streamed on the CCTA website. The chair will call upon members, staff, and other speakers by name. Please speak clearly and state your name before giving comments or remarks. Persons participating via Zoom with their cameras enabled are reminded that their activities are visible to viewers. Members participating by Zoom wishing to speak should physically raise their hand and unmute their mic when called upon. Members should mute their mics when done speaking. Citizens participating by Zoom wishing to speak should use the Raise Hand feature or dial *9 if participating via phone, and the chair or staff will call upon them at the appropriate time. Citizens will have 3 minutes to speak. After 3 minutes, staff will lower their hand and mute their mic. Participants via phone will be called upon by the last 4 digits of their phone number. It is requested that public speakers state their names and organization, but providing such information is voluntary. Written public comments received in accordance with the teleconferencing special notice for public comment guidelines are printed on the meeting agenda. If authors of the written correspondence would like to speak, they should raise their hand and the chair will call upon them at the appropriate time. All written correspondence received after that and during the meeting will be entered into the record. A roll call vote will be taken for all action items. Thank you for participating in a meeting of the Contra Costa Transportation Authority.
And thank you. Christina will now conduct roll call.
Thank you. Members Ballinger, Conradi,
I'm here.
Diaz,
Here.
Willard, Doe,
Here.
Fahey,
Here.
Greenblatt, Poe,
Here.
Percivan,
Present.
Knapp, Nelson, Ortiz,
Here.
Panganiban, Reeves,
Here.
Rawani, Singh, Sutanatara, Thompson,
Yeah.
Wang, Weeks,
Here.
is Chair Smith.
Here.
And Chair Stamp.
This is John Cunningham. I'm Jamar's alternate. He's out today.
Okay, your name again?
John Cunningham.
Perfect. All right, we have a quorum. We can move forward with the meeting.
Thank you very much. So next item on the agenda is public comment. Christina, have we received any written public comment?
We've received no written public comment.
Thank you. So I'd like to ask if there's anybody here wishing to speak during public comment on an item that is not part of the agenda. If so, please raise your hand and staff or I will call upon you.
I see no hands raised.
Thank you. So seeing none, next item on the agenda is the consent calendar. Are there any changes, comments, etc. from the committee? And does anybody want to pull an item? And would also ask, I guess, if there's any members of the public attending, if they would like an item pulled. Looks like nobody. Okay. Where are we here in my script? Sorry about that. Oh, Here we go. If anyone would like to speak from the public, please raise your hand. We just did that. Due to the size of the technical coordinating committee, we will handle a motion and roll call vote after the last regular agenda item has been presented. So we're going to go ahead now to the regular agenda items. Next item on the agenda, it's an informational, it might be informal as well, but it's an informational item presented by Stephanie Hu to provide an update on the project monitoring. Stephanie, take it away.
Thank you, Vice Chair Smith. And yes, this is going to be informational and informal. It's our monitoring item that's on every TCC meeting. I will just wanted to point your attention mainly to the OBAG. Christina, if you can give me sharing rights. It's the OBAG monitoring is what I want us to focus on. We have a deadlines that are coming up, as this is part of the last year of OBAG 2. As you know, you guys have submitted OBAG 3 applications. So we want to make sure these OBAG 2 projects are clear and obligated. And this also clears your city's names in any kind of way, in not having a black mark or that you guys are not delivering projects from OBAG 2. So just really important to make sure you guys are meeting the deadline. So for 2022 plan here that I'm showing, the obligation deadline has already passed in terms of the regional deadline of January 31st, 2022. So the federal fiscal year ends on September 30th. So it's important to get your E76 by then. So in the fiscal year 2022 plan, we still have a few remaining. So Brentwood, Pittsburgh, Danville, and 2 Danvilles that need to have their obligation hopefully by the end of September, before the federal fiscal year ends. And the next table to look at is fiscal year 2023, which will start on October 1st. And because this is the last year of OBAG 2, these projects have to get their E76 by January 31st, 2023. So far, we've been hearing there's no extension of any kind from MTC. I know we've been speaking to a couple of jurisdictions where they think they may be at risk, but really just try your best to meet the deadline. Some of these projects had received also Quick Strike funding, which we've noted. I think that's on the top. Yeah, the Quick Strike funded projects, just make sure we've noted that they have to get their E76 by September 30th. So yeah, that if you have Quick Strike funding, so I won't go into that. So let us know if you run into trouble. We held a couple of office hours last week, and some of you did attend, so that was good. If you have questions, that was good to just ask us through a separate conversation rather than TCC. So so the 2023 plan, those who have funding for this coming fiscal year is Concord, Antioch, Pittsburgh, Clayton, Martinez, El Cerrito, Richmond, and San Ramon. So just if you are one of these cities, please make sure you guys are meeting all the deadlines and just be ready for the OBAG 3 cycle. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions. And yeah, again, if you want to talk specifically about your projects at any time that are on the list, please reach out and we can set out a separate time to discuss if that's needed. And I'll turn it back to the chair, and yeah, happy to answer any question, or vice chair.
Oh no, I'm only the vice chair.
You're the chair, you have the gavel, virtual gavel.
The gavel's up on a shelf over there. Anyway, thank you very much. Any comments or questions from the committee? Christina, have we received any written public comment?
We have not received any written public comment.
And if anybody, thank you. And if anybody would like to speak from the public, please raise your hand. I guess it's seeing none. I will move on here. The next item on the agenda is an informational item presented by John Huang to provide an update on local priorities to the One Bay Area Grant Cycle 3 program, the OBAG 3 program, and call for project. Take it away.
Hi, good afternoon, Vice Chair Smith and committee members. John Huang, Director of Planning. I'm going to go ahead and hand this off, the helm off to Colin Clark to present to you all today. Again, this is to provide an update of the OBAG 3 cycle And this meeting also provides the public an opportunity to provide input to the process. We received applications last Friday, and we're in the process of prioritizing. And Colin, I'm gonna apologize. I don't have the PowerPoint queued up, but if you can just start speaking, and then I'm gonna queue up the PowerPoint pretty shortly.
Okay, sounds good. Hi, everyone. The intent of today is to get some more input, as John said, and to give you a status update on what we've seen thus far in terms of the OBAG 3 submittals for the Active Transportation and Safety Program after the July 15th submittal deadline for applications. In terms of the background for OBAG 3, it's based on MTC policy. There's STP funds that are about 60% of the funds, Surface Transportation, federal funds, and CMAQ, congestion mitigation, air quality related funds. And the hope is that many of the applications will be eligible for both funding sources to kind of double their opportunity to get funding, at least at an MTC level. There's a 4-year period from fiscal year of 22-23 through 25-26, and the projects and the grant applications align with the Plan Bay Area 2050 strategies and federal performance goals. The call for projects process, as you know, went out in May of this year after several months of input from various stakeholders and committees, including this one. The region-wide call for projects and award process will happen with MTC in terms of final selection of projects. CCTA will nominate a list of projects through its review panel, which is made up of 2 members from the technical coordinating committee and 4 members from the countywide bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee. And then, ultimately the grant applications that are on that nomination list countywide will have to compete across the 9 counties. The good news in terms of this PDA portion is that an overwhelming majority of projects that were submitted for OBAG 3 are either in a PDA, a priority development area, or within 1 mile of priority development area, which will look favorably from an MTC perspective during project selection. Next slide. So $47 million is the target amount, and $57 million is the nomination amount that the authorities review panel will need to nominate to MTC for consideration no later than September 30th. $28.4 million for the Smart Signals project, which includes all jurisdictions, all cities, towns, and the county. And the other half of the program approved by the board includes the Active Transportation and Safety and programmatic piece, so the non-infrastructure safe routes to school, for example, and the countywide application from CCTA and the County Health Services public health staff. Here we can go to the next slide. The Smart Signals project we've talked about before. The main purpose includes addressing transit priority and enabling remote monitoring and access, signal coordination, video detection, in particular as it relates to Vision Zero and safety implementation for more vulnerable road users, such as people walking and biking, and minimizing collisions. Next slide. The Safe Routes to School application that was received for OBAG 3 is about $3.7 million of a grant application, and it would serve almost 170,000 students countywide in Contra Costa and almost 275 schools. Next slide. In terms of the active transportation and safety program piece of OBAG 3, the eligible applicants you're all familiar with, and the minimum matching funds are 11.47% because it's federal funds. The minimum grant amount being $500K, which it appears that I think all of the applications that have been submitted exceed that. There's a maximum of 2 projects per jurisdictions, with the county being the exception in terms of having 4 projects. And the Park District, for example, is a lead on 1 project, 1 grant application, and partner on several other grant applications as a co-sponsor. And we'll talk about at the Countywide Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee meeting on Monday, July 25th at 11 a.m. about the local road safety plan requirement and the joint effort across jurisdictions to meet that requirement to remain competitive for OBAG 3 at the regional 9-county level. Next slide shows the number of applications that have been received through the OBAG 3 program. There's at least 18 agencies represented, including cities, county, transit agencies like BART and AC Transit, and the Park District that I mentioned. 29 total applications, excluding the Countywide Safe Routes to School grant application, and also excluding the Smart Signals project, because that's not part of the active transportation and safety component of OBAG 3. There's quite a number of joint projects that the authority received in terms of agencies that decided to partner with each other on many different project types, mostly including ped bike, trail, and transit improvements. The nomination amount for active transportation and safety is meant to be approximately $25 million to MTC for consideration for funding, and the ask and the total request countywide was $111 million. So you can see just how competitive it is. Next slide. The prioritization criteria is the next process in terms of the review panel that I mentioned, that is meeting tomorrow, July 22nd at 10 a.m. To discuss the 29 applications, and it's the sole opportunity for the lead applicant to present 3 to 5 minutes of material on each of their grant applications to the review panel themselves as kind of an elevator pitch, sales pitch in terms of why the project should be funded, the merits of the project, those types of things, making it competitive on a 9-county regional level, so that the countywide review panel can evaluate the projects moving into the next couple weeks. And using the scoring sheet and the categories that you've seen previously, which include community support, community served, PDAs, equity priority communities, and projects endorsed by community-based organizations, for example, or quick bill demonstration projects, maybe another possibility. In terms of the review panel, they will also meet a second time on July 28th, I think. It's either the 27th or the 28th. Next slide shows the scoring categories. And in terms of the overall scoring per grant application, the next slide shows that there's 75 points that the authorities review panel would be responsible for assigning up to 75 points. And then in addition to that, there would be the regional criteria from MTC for a total of 25 points, but an extra 10 points on top of that for the air quality piece if it's eligible. And most of the grant applications should be eligible, in particular from a bike ped perspective. And in terms of the schedule recap, tomorrow is the review panel at 10 a.m. And then let's also remember that there's the August 18th special meeting of the Technical Coordinating Committee, the TCC, to review the draft recommendations from the review panel in terms of a countywide prioritized projects list. And then on August 22nd, that'll be the countywide bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee special meeting to do the same in terms of reviewing the prioritized project list and meeting potentially having the lead applicants present the complete streets checklist to check that box from an MTC perspective for the complete streets checklist. And then in September, there will be continuing this fast and furious process in terms of going to the planning committee and the authority board to get all of this nominated for MTC consideration. And there's I think that's it, but please feel free to ask us any questions or provide any comments. And thank you, Vice Chair Smith.
Thank you, Colin and John. Does anybody have any questions? Nope. Let's see. Have we received any written public comments on this?
No written public comment.
Thank you. And then if there's any members of the public wishing to speak on this item, please raise your hand.
Transumbilical.
Oh, I'm
or
not
Venus?
in the public, but this is Celestine. I just had a question for Colin. So Colin, you mentioned that the TCC will be reviewing the prioritized projects and the funding amount would be around $25 million. Do we know approximately how many projects would be on the prioritized list based on the funding amount?
Yeah.
No, I think no is the short answer. It's too early in the review process to know how many projects are going to be on there. So the review panel will first be assembling tomorrow to begin that process.
Got it. Okay. I had another question, but I think I need to let it percolate because I forgot it. So go ahead.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions or any member of the public wishing to speak?
This is Jerry. I got a quick question. Just took a look at that last slide you just had with the schedule for tomorrow. It looks like you've added time to certain agencies.
Yeah, so it became apparent that we needed to make sure that the county had more time because there's more applications allotted for the county. So the county has more time to be able to address the grant applications.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Celestine, did your second question pop into mind?
It does. So for tomorrow's presentation, we're supposed to send you the presentation beforehand. And are you driving the presentation, Colin? So you'll be like clicking through, because I assume that, are we sharing screens? Like, I guess I don't know the protocol.
We were planning to have you share screen.
Oh, okay.
You don't. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know what the instructions we
Yeah. Well, for simple,
I think it was just that we would
Do you
send the
need to do any
presentations to
sort of,
Colin and then
like labs for
go
that, or
from
you guys
there.
pretty much?
So,
know
Celestine, we're
just
having a hard
based
time
off this
hearing you. It
white
sounds like there's
paper
somebody
and-
next to you talking.
Yeah, that's my coworker. Sorry, yeah. Okay, and just one quick question. How hard are the time stops? Because I figure their questions going to be asked, and
You can model
are you
that,
going to
yeah.
try to like keep it to that 6-minute
Yeah.
mark for everyone?
Yeah, it's a pretty tight time. We're going to give you the flexibility. We said about 6 minutes, so kind of use your own judgment. Anticipate questions. Again, we're asking that committee to sit in a meeting for 2.5 hours already, and that's really a long time. We have a small break in between, but I would say just your judgment. They have the application. They can read as well as anybody else. But I think this is everybody's opportunity to kind of highlight the key elements of the project. I think you don't have to go through every single detail, but again, I think focus on the key highlights that you want the community to understand and take into consideration in their scoring, and just kind of leave some room for Q&A if there are any.
Yeah, I think some of the earlier draft guidance probably spoke to the complete streets checklist as part of the presentation on tomorrow for the review panel, but that doesn't necessarily need to, take up any majority of the presentation because it needs to go to the full, CB pack anyway. This is tomorrow. The meeting is with just the review panel. It's not the full CB pack to be able to meet MTC's requirement of review of the complete streets checklist. So it's mostly about the summary of the project scope and the merits of the project, and unique things that will help it compete at the 9-county level.
Should we assume that the review panel is familiar with our project then? Is that what, or yeah, that's.
I'm sorry.
Because you're like, should we assume the review panel is somewhat familiar with our application at this point, or because you said to hit the highlights, but I guess we can't assume that they are familiar.
Well, yeah, I think they just got.
Oh, is this for like?
They just got the application maybe last night or this morning, so depends on how quick they get a chance to brief through the application. Yeah, I really couldn't tell you one way or the other, Colin. I mean,
Yeah,
question?
Yeah, and I guess I also want to mention that there is the application that's at the front of every packet that was provided to the review panel, but the overall combined packet for each of the 29 applications includes all kinds of different attachments that may vary to some extent across different applications. So it probably is an option to consider that the jurisdiction address or highlight certain things that the review panel should be reviewing in more detail from the attachments.
Yeah, this is Jerry. I can speak as one of the review panelists. We received the package today, 29 projects, well over 100 pages each. I will not get through them all by 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So be sure you highlight what you want us to hear.
I got it.
Thank you.
I got to sync back up with mom.
There's the answer we really were looking for, I bet.
Thank you for that feedback.
Thank you all. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak or have any questions?
Can we get your PowerPoint, Colin, today with the new schedule?
Yes.
I see Member Ballinger has turned on her camera. I don't know, Heather, if you did you have a question?
Andrew?
No, I was just going to say, why can't Jerry get through the whole packet?
The Giants and Dodgers are on tonight. It could go either way. If they're losing, your packet could end up on a bad side.
Andrew, I have a question.
Yes.
The PDF of the PowerPoint that agencies provide to CCTA, would that be shared with the evaluators also?
We can certainly make that available. Yeah, of the presentation, Philip.
Yeah, because after they see the presentation, I mean, if they have the PDF copy, they probably would be able to remember what's being presented a lot easier than if they don't.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. We can certainly have that on and provide it to the panel.
Great, thank you. That's all for me.
Anybody else? All righty. Well, in that case, we will move along. Thank you again, Colin and John and Colin. Appreciate that. So let's see. It looks like it's voting time. Now for a motion and roll call vote to approve the following items. Item 3, consent calendar. I will entertain a motion and a second if anybody would like to take a vote on the consent calendar. I mean, come on, Steve, at least you could say so moved.
I move Yvette Ortiz moves to approve the consent calendar.
There we go. There's one. Anybody care to second?
Jerry will
I'll second.
second.
And
Either way.
Member Fahey, thank you very much. And Ortiz. So let's see. I've been given a script here in case you can't all tell, and it's different than the script I use when I'm secretary to our planning commission. So sorry for fumbling here. Christina, please conduct a roll call vote.
Yes, members Ballinger.
Aye.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Conradi,
Aye.
Diaz,
Yes.
Dillard,
Yes.
Doe,
Yes.
Fahey,
Yes.
Fu, Rahul,
Yes.
Persevan, Ortiz,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith.
Yes.
Is there anybody else that hopped in that I may have missed? All right, the motion passes with the members present.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have anything for the good of the order? No. Well, in that case, I will call this meeting adjourned at 3:06 p.m. Thank you all very much. We'll see you next time.
Aye.